Hey, have you ever heard of a dinosaur called Deltadromeus? Don't worry if the answer is no, almost no one has. And maybe that's exactly what makes it so fascinating. It doesn't have a famous skull on display in a museum. No massive jaw or Hollywood-style teeth. What it left behind were only clues: thin, long bones too light to be forgotten, and too strange to be ignored. To some, it was a mistake, a loose piece in the fossil puzzle. To others, one of the fastest predators ever to walk the earth. So pay close attention, because that's exactly what we're about to uncover in this video. Who was Deltadromeus, and could this be the fastest dinosaur that ever lived? Let's find out. It was just another scorching day under the blazing sun of the Sahara Desert, deep in the heart of Morocco. The year was 1996, and a team of paleontologists led by the renowned American researcher Paul Sereno was carefully exploring layers of reddish sandstone. Layers that had silently preserved stories for millions of years. The heat was intense, so strong it distorted the horizon and created shimmering mirages. Despite the harsh conditions, the team remained determined, knowing that this dry soil had once, around 95 million years ago, been a lush and vibrant landscape teeming with life. With meticulous patience, the researchers dug slowly, using brushes and delicate tools to avoid damaging whatever might be hidden in the time-hardened sand. Then, suddenly, something unexpected. One team member felt their tools strike something hard, something different from the sandstone that dominated the terrain. Excitement quickly swept through the group. Sereno approached, examining the first fragments being gently uncovered with the stroke of a brush. As they cleared away the reddish earth, long, slender, and fragile bones began to emerge one by one, clearly pointing to an ancient and unusual predator. These were not the massive, thick bones often found in giants like the T-Rex. These were elongated and delicate, suggesting a creature shaped by evolution to be light, agile, and fast. A true runner from the distant past. As Sereno held one of the bones up to the sunlight, he sensed something deeply intriguing about the find. The shape of the bones hinted at an animal perfectly built for speed, perhaps a runner as efficient as some of the fastest predators we know today. But questions quickly began to surface. What exactly was this creature? What role did it play in that prehistoric ecosystem? And why had no other fossils like it ever been discovered in the region? At that moment, under the scorching Moroccan sun, Sereno and his team had no idea they were standing face to face with one of the greatest mysteries in modern paleontology. The bones belonged to a dinosaur never seen before, a creature whose name would be forever linked to speed and to the ancient river delta where it was found, the mysterious and elusive Deltadromeus. But why do we still know so little about such a fascinating creature? Why are scientists still unsure of its appearance, behavior, or even its true size? The answer lies in a fossil puzzle that, unfortunately, is missing most of its pieces. Have you ever tried to put together a puzzle, only to open the box and realize that almost all the pieces were missing? That's exactly the kind of frustration paleontologists face when trying to understand Deltadromeus. Despite the excitement surrounding its discovery back in 1996, the reality quickly proved far more challenging than anyone expected. The fossils they found were scarce, fragmented, and revealed only traces of a creature that lived millions of years ago. Unlike more famous dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex or Triceratops, whose nearly complete skeletons allow for detailed reconstructions, Deltadromeus remains shrouded in mystery. All that has been recovered are a few vertebrae, parts of the hind legs, and fragments of the hip. No skull, no jaw, no arms. The key to understanding what this creature truly looked like or how it behaved is still missing. So why was so little left behind? The answer might lie in the very place where Deltadromeus once lived, an ancient river delta. Wet and dynamic environments like this are notorious for making fossilization incredibly difficult. Water currents often scatter bones, separating parts of the body after death. Constant erosion, unstable soil, and millions of years of heavy rain, brutal droughts, and fierce sandstorms did the rest, destroying or burying forever the pieces that could have solved this prehistoric mystery. Faced with this scarcity, scientists had to turn to comparisons with other species. Dinosaurs with similar size and anatomy served as reference points to build theories about Deltadromeus' size, posture, speed, and even diet. But it's still a highly speculative reconstruction, like trying to draw someone's face when all you have is the outline of an ear. Even so, the fragments that survived reveal something remarkable. Deltadromeus had long, thin, lightweight legs, bones built not to crush or overpower, but to run. And to run fast. It was, without a doubt, a sleek and agile predator. A creature built to chase, escape, and survive through pure speed. Every bone unearthed rekindles the hope of understanding more about this runner from the past. And with every missing piece, the fascination only grows, almost as if Deltadromeus itself is still playing hide and seek among the layers of time. But what kind of hunter was this? Really? And how did its incredible speed shape its life in that ancient world? The answer begins with the name it was given, and the title it still carries today, the Delta Runner. And if you're into mysterious dinosaurs like this one, creatures almost erased from history, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more forgotten species, lost legends, and prehistoric enigmas coming your way. Let's keep going. When the first fossils of Deltadromeus were carefully examined, it became clear to paleontologists that they had something truly unique on their hands. Every detail of its bones, especially the long, thin, and elegant legs, pointed to one fascinating conclusion. This animal was perfectly built for speed. But what exactly did its name, Delta Runner, mean? Picture a modern-day cheetah chasing down its prey across the African savanna. With powerful muscles and legs designed to hit speeds of up to 60 miles per hour in seconds, it's nearly unbeatable in a short, intense pursuit. Now imagine that same idea, but 95 million years ago, across an ancient network of lakes and river channels in what is now northern Africa. Deltadromeus, with its long limbs and specialized musculature, likely played a similar role, chasing prey in lightning-fast sprints that left no room for escape. The bones suggest it was a sleek and agile predator, possibly reaching speeds between 30 and 40 miles per hour or even more. An extraordinary feat for an animal of its size. To pull this off, Deltadromeus would have needed unique anatomical features. Powerful hind leg muscles, lightweight and hollow bones, and flexible joints that allowed it to make sudden, sharp turns mid-chase. These weren't just evolutionary bonuses. These traits were vital for survival in a brutal and highly competitive environment. Speed wasn't just about hunting effectively. It was also about avoiding deadly encounters with much larger predators that shared the same harsh landscape. Yet, despite these theories, a shadow of mystery still lingers. The missing skull of Deltadromeus means researchers can't say for sure what its jaw looked like, what kind of teeth it had, or even its exact diet. It was likely carnivorous, but the specifics, its favorite prey, its hunting strategies, remain unknown. So, Deltadromeus remains wrapped in questions. We know it was fast. We know it was deadly. But just how far it could push the limits of speed is still a fascinating unknown. Each new discovery brings us one step closer to understanding its life and behavior, revealing a predator whose unique traits allowed it to thrive in a wild and unforgiving world. But to fully grasp what it meant to be a runner in those ancient times, we need to understand the stage it lived on. What was the prehistoric delta that Deltadromeus called home really like? And who were the other giants and predators that roamed that same dangerous space? To truly understand the role of Deltadromeus, we need to travel back roughly 95 million years, into a time and place that was as breathtaking as it was brutal. Picture a region we now know as the vast, unforgiving Sahara Desert. But back then, it looked nothing like the dry, lifeless wasteland we see today. Instead of endless dunes of scorching sand, it was a thriving wetland, a vast network of lakes and winding rivers flowing slowly across lush, green plains. Dense vegetation covered the landscape, dotted with muddy mangroves and shallow lagoons, teeming with primitive creatures locked in a daily battle for survival. This was the world of Deltadromeus, perfectly adapted to a humid, vibrant ecosystem that once pulsed at the heart of ancient Africa. It may have looked like a prehistoric paradise, but don't be fooled. This was one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Roaming this deadly paradise were some of the largest and fiercest predators ever to walk the planet. Among them, the colossal Carcharodontosaurus, a super predator with razor-sharp teeth and crushing jaws powerful enough to bring down massive prey. And then there was the infamous Spinosaurus, the semi-aquatic killer with its iconic sail-like spine, immortalized in scenes of cinematic mayhem from films like Jurassic Park 3. And in the middle of all that, surrounded by towering predators and hulking herbivores, was Deltadromeus. Unlike the giants, it didn't rely on brute force. The secret weapon was speed. Fast enough to chase down prey, nimble enough to evade danger. While the titans clashed over territory and colossal meals, Deltadromeus likely thrived in the chaos, hunting smaller targets and avoiding direct confrontations with its monstrous neighbors. In this ancient delta, life demanded extreme adaptations. There were long periods of drought, when rivers shrank into mere trickles, and sudden, violent storms that flooded the plains and transformed the landscape overnight. If this kind of environment already has you holding your breath, imagine what's coming next. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the ride, and let's go even deeper into this prehistoric world. The fierce competition for food and space drove evolution to its limits. For Deltadromeus, speed wasn't just an advantage, it was essential. Its agility helped it dodge ambushes, cover vast ground in search of resources, and adapt to an environment that changed without warning. Adapting quickly wasn't a choice. It was the only way to survive another day. And it was in that fragile balance between risk and instinct that Deltadromeus found its place. But as more fossils from that ancient delta began to surface, it became clear Deltadromeus was not alone. And what emerged would forever change the way we understand life in that lost world. When the fossils of Deltadromeus were first unearthed, paleontologists quickly realized that this slender, fast-moving creature wasn't the only star of that ancient stage. The site of the discovery, a rock formation known as the Kem Group in southeastern Morocco, revealed something even more surprising and, to some, deeply unsettling. That same environment, during that same time period, held an unusually high concentration of giant carnivorous predators. It was as if a whole pack of prehistoric lions, tigers, and wolves had been thrown into the same territory, only on a colossal scale. A true pressure cooker of constant tension, where one wrong step could mean instant death. Among the fossils pulled from Kem are some of the largest and most intimidating carnivores to ever exist. The massive Spinosaurus, with its mysterious sail and semi-aquatic lifestyle. The colossal Carcharodontosaurus, rivaling the legendary T-Rex in size. The little-known but equally fearsome Behariosaurus. The strange and still-debated Rugops, with its bony, armor-like skull. And of course, the fast and enigmatic Deltadromeus. But it's this sheer diversity of apex predators that raises one of the most puzzling questions in modern paleontology. How could so many giant meat-eaters coexist in the same ecosystem without wiping each other out? How did nature balance so many elite hunters on a single prehistoric stage? It's a mystery that continues to challenge scientists to this day. The most widely accepted answer is that each predator filled a different ecological niche. Spinosaurus ruled the rivers, hunting massive fish with its long, crocodile-like jaws. Carcharodontosaurus stalked the land, preying on giant sauropods. And Deltadromeus? He may have targeted smaller, faster prey, thriving as a nimble opportunist who avoided direct conflict with the titans around him. Even so, the number of predators in the Kem group defies what we know from modern ecosystems. Today, predators are always outnumbered by prey, but in Kem, the opposite seems to have occurred. Some paleontologists have even dubbed it the predator graveyard, not only because of the incredible diversity of carnivores, but also due to the notable scarcity of herbivore fossils. This leads to two equally disturbing possibilities. Either the prey fossils are missing or poorly preserved, possibly due to erosion or the type of rock. Or, what we're seeing is a jumbled mass of bones, carried and deposited by ancient floods and rivers, blending animals from different times and places into a single fossil illusion of coexistence. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear: Deltadromeus lived in one of the most dangerous and unstable ecosystems of the entire dinosaur era. Which brings us to a vital question. How did this lightweight sprinter manage to thrive surrounded by so many colossal threats? Was he truly a dominant predator or just trying to outrun extinction with everything he had? Among so many colossal predators roaming the ancient African delta, Deltadromeus, at first glance, seemed seriously outmatched. No massive teeth, no bone-crushing jaws, no sail towering above its back. He was smaller, lighter, and far less imposing than his competitors. But that didn't make him any less lethal, just different. The question that still intrigues scientists is this: was he truly an active predator, or just a cunning survivor, forever on the edges of a battlefield ruled by giants? To get closer to an answer, we have to consider where he may have fit in the food chain of that brutal world. At about 25 to 30 feet long, that's roughly 8 to 9 yards, Deltadromeus wasn't exactly small, but he couldn't compete with the likes of Spinosaurus or Carcharodontosaurus, which could reach over 40 feet. This leads to a far more realistic hypothesis. Deltadromeus didn't fight for dominance. He thrived in the shadows left behind by the giants. Most likely, he hunted smaller prey, juvenile iguanodonts, little ornithopods, maybe even primitive bird-like dinosaurs and early reptiles. But there's another, even more fascinating possibility. He might have been an opportunistic scavenger, more thief than warrior. A creature that didn't seek conflict but fed on the leftovers after major battles. And his speed? That would have given him the edge to reach the feast first, and vanish before a larger predator even noticed. He was, in a way, the Cretaceous era's quick and quiet thief. Invisible when it mattered, fast when it counted. But that same agility also came at a cost. Imagine sharing your habitat with monsters that could crush you with a single bite or rip through your body with one swing of a claw. Deltadromeus had to live in a constant state of alert, ready to pivot, run, and disappear in a blink. Maybe that's why evolution sharpened him into such a specialist in speed, because his very survival depended on it. This delicate balance between being predator and potential prey is one of the most captivating aspects of his story. It proves that not every dinosaur needed to be the biggest or the most brutal to survive. Some, like Deltadromeus, thrive through smarts, agility, and the ability to always stay one step ahead of danger. But now I want to hear from you. Was Deltadromeus truly a hunter, or just a clever survivor? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know what you think. Deltadromeus emerged in science like a swift phantom rising from the sands of the Sahara. A handful of long, light, and mysterious bones was enough to spark theories, debates, and a fascination that refuses to fade. And yet, despite everything that's been said, Deltadromeus remains wrapped in silence. Not the silence of disinterest, but a near-poetic quiet born from the lack of definitive answers. Maybe he was the fastest dinosaur to ever live. Maybe he was just a juvenile version of a larger predator. Or maybe, just maybe, he's a patchwork of bones, a mosaic sculpted by erosion, time, and coincidence. Science is still chasing those answers. But Deltadromeus, elusive by nature, always seems to stay one step ahead, as if even his identity knows how to run. And maybe that's what makes him so unique. Not his teeth, which we've never seen. Not his jaw, which remains missing. It's the unknown that gives him his immortality. He represents everything we haven't discovered yet. Everything a fossil hidden beneath a million-year-old dune might whisper with the brush of a paleontologist. Until that moment comes, Deltadromeus will continue to exist on the edge of reality and myth. Not as a towering giant, but as a light and silent legend, carried by the warm winds of the desert, the shadow that still runs. And hey, if you enjoyed this prehistoric mystery, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments what part of the Deltadromeus story intrigued you the most. Thanks for running with us on this Jurassic journey. See you in the next one.